He still talks about that a lot. We have a good time over there.
What is this picture?
This is just a bigger version of the final option that we came up with. This is the $5 million price tag that we've looked at. And of course, just to remind you real quick, you know, it's the pink slide there is the raft slide that comes down and then follows that little channel on out to the wave pool. It's got a separate lap pool with the little pink color, I guess it's pink color, purple color, climbing wall down there at one corner. It also has, I didn't realize that until I was talking to Kevin, that little funny little shaped bump right there on the side of the lap pool. That's what he calls a tanning ledge. It's about 6 inches of water that you can just sit in and enjoy being wet without being all the way in the water. So that was that option, and of course you were at the public hearing that we had, another plan that we had during that, and the objections that were raised to such a large facility. Been talking with several of the council members, the mayor, and stuff, and there are, from what I understand, many reservations about such a large price tag. And so we went back and looked, and I talked with Kevin some about something that we could do for maybe a smaller price tag. And that is what this is. We'll pass around there.
This is what you so nice.
This is a smaller price tag to take a look at. You'll see that there's just the one slide. It's probably not as tall of a slide. It still does have a rather large child's play structure. Has a very large zero entry area. You know, that whole sweeping arc that you see over there on the right is zero entry. And everything really down to the steps in the middle is fairly shallow. And then you have the lap lanes with the separate splashdown area. And we would probably take the splashdown area out and put the slide down at the end, at the top of the lanes, and use the part of the lap lanes as your splash area. There, just to cut down on the square footage of the water. Our estimate is that we can do this one for about 1.75. But the only reservation I have with recommending that is that it doesn't meet the criteria that we established when we had the meeting with everybody. You know, we wanted something different from FET, which that is not. We wanted aquatics for all ages, from kids to senior citizens. We do have that. Lots of water slides and large open water. There is large open water, but just the one water slide. And it's basically just an upgraded version of a municipal slope. So it's not a, you know, we're talking about the tower not being as tall as the tower even in FET. The bigger the tower, the higher the cost, obviously. But it would still be a, you know, it would be a functional pool. It would have a larger child's play area.
Is this all the child's play here?
It is. Contraption you said.
How big an area is this?
Well,
What it doesn't matter.
this is 75 feet.
Okay, it's 75 by 25 or something.
Yeah, 75 by 50.
With the radius.
With the radius on
And this is about 2 foot deep, probably.
Yeah.
This is
Would range from about 12.
kids slides and
Kids slides and kids play, and it would probably look more like this structure in that pool.
Mhm.
So
This would be steps going down.
yeah, we'd probably take those steps out. Those aren't really.
Do you feel like this would pay for its?
This one would probably generate enough money to cover its costs because you have less things to cover with lifeguards. You know, this is the smaller option with Greenview Park The Greenview Park option there is about 5,500 square feet of water. Your $5 million option was a whole lot more than that. I can remember off the top of my head.
11,000.
Option, modified option two was 6,800, 2,500, and 2,400. It was
11,700.
yeah, 11,700. So it's about half the water that you have to cover. So that's less guards. It's less slides. That's less guards. So you have less operating. Your operating costs would be lower.
Yeah, but are you gonna bring anybody in town to go to it?
You would probably bring in enough people to cover its cost. This is not going to be a pool that's going to bring in a huge crowd. This is going to be your local pool. Basically. This is not going to be a attraction to draw people. This will be your pool for everybody in a 25, 30-mile radius.
Can this one be easily added on to, if you chose to? Have you looked at that part of it?
There are things that can always be added. It's difficult to add onto the actual body of water.
Mhm.
Like if you built it without this thing and wanted to come back later and add that would be difficult. But if you wanted to add some extra water later as a separate piece of water, you could, as a separate pool. If you wanted to add some slides with a big splash pool, you could do that. If you wanted to add slides with a run out, that would be pretty simple. If you wanted to add other things, you could do that. As far as adding to the space around it.
As long as you got
Lazy
the
river.
land.
As long as you got the land.
Land.
You're limited by how much you want to spend, going around it. So.
I hate to lift that cup.
Yeah. And
Person is there's 500
so, but this, it comes down to, what the fence was when they first built it without the lazy river was an upgraded municipal pool, basically. Just the newest
Which is
version,
what they
which
did
is-
for a year.
Which is what they did for a year, which
That
is,
was pretty successful.
which is basically what this is. And they were successful with that.
Well, it's a little bit more than that.
But they were also first to the table. And that's the whole issue that we've discussed several times is that, being first means you can do everything, all the cheapest things.
Yeah.
Being second means either doing something not better, just as nice, or, spending extra money and going bigger. So, it's, I don't live in Hamilton, I don't have to pay this back, so I can't, I can't say, hey, you have to do this, because y'all, the younger side of the table over here, will be the ones paying this thing back, over the years, so, I would love to see this, Kevin and I both are really excited about this particular design with the wave pool and the way it's shaped and the tube slide going into it. And he said on more than one occasion, if y'all don't build it, he's gonna sell it to somebody.
Hope it's not close.
Because it's such a unique design. It hasn't been done, as far as I can tell from him, it hasn't been done anywhere, anything in this particular configuration. So you would be unique, which is obviously what we were shooting for from the beginning. So now I've talked enough, I need input from you guys.
How much you think that you could drop the price on that if we did away with the one pool, the leisure pool?
We
You
did
talking
good.
about the first one?
Maybe extended the catch pool out a little bit, put the climbing wall on it?
So you didn't build the leisure pool right now? Or the
What-
lap pool?
What's the most expensive aspect of this original,
The wave pool.
the wave pool? Well, we've talked about potentially adding things to whatever park that we build years down the road, so why not build everything but the wave pool and add it later?
You could, the wave pool is your uniqueness.
Is your big draw.
That's your wave pool is your big draw. I mean, that's the number one thing about this one. The slides are cool, but they're, you know, the tube slide is cool because it goes into the wave pool.
Right.
So, but that's, you know,
And
certainly.
how much would it be without?
Without the wave pool?
Without what?
You're back to this other thing.
Let me get my calculator. The wave pool is 5,500 square feet. Normally for a pool, you figure anywhere from $100 to $125 a square foot, but I believe it's more than that with a wave pool. Where is that? I don't have my option. Get the right one. Yeah, preferred concept. He had, let's see, let me do a quick, just real quick. Yeah, 20.
Got any comments? Brian?
I'm waiting to hear.
About 250. Yeah, the wave pool's probably a million and a half of that. 1.7, somewhere in that, rough numbers
Million and a half,
for the wave pool.
pretty close.
Kirk, how big is this little automated community center? You know,
Oh, how big that was
Yeah.
when they built in South Carolina?
well, I was just talking about, I mean, this is not included in,
No, the 1.75 includes a bathhouse.
okay,
Theirs was attached to
I
a
got you.
community center that they did some.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, this is, it was just,
Oh, it
this
does.
has not been redrawn for Hamilton, this is just, we flat out stole this from
Mm-hmm.
Columbia, South Carolina for now.
That's what they got.
That's what they got.
You know, you kind of numbers on it, what size town it is, Columbia, that's bigger than.
Yeah, Columbia's pretty good size.
Oh, that's what Fort Bragg is.
Yeah,
That's a big
Columbia's,
Yeah, it's
Columbia.
big, I've been there.
Capital South Carolina.
be a pretty big town, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was probably a community pool. Off, you know, one corner, one suburb.
They probably got several.
I'm sure they have multiple. So what's the,
That's a nice pool, huh?
so, you know, what's the feeling from everyone on,
But what acreage
The
would
difference
this
in-
encompass that you need?
a half an acre to 3/4? Not as much as, this one was about an acre and a half anyway.
If you were to, I'm sorry to ask a question, but if you were to look at maybe expanding down the road, how much would you get total, knowing that down the road you could be expanding, how much total acreage would you put aside?
You know,
Make a difference.
three, not counting the parking spaces, 3 or 4 would probably be plenty.
Acres.
Would be way more than you could probably ever fill up. More money than you could ever spend.
Now, wave pool, the original wave pool wasn't this big, was it, in the first option?
It
That
was,
first option, you got it
I
somewhere?
Do you really want to see that?
Because it had a wave pool, it was
It did,
about $3
wrapped
million,
around.
about $3 million.
it was, it had the slides and a run out.
Yeah, that's right.
It was, 3.8.
What was 3.8?
3.8.
You're talking about the very first option?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it had a 5,500 square foot wave pool versus 6,800.
Is there a version of that that would be, that could be cut some to get it down a little bit? No, that's the.
I mean, you know, the wave
Still have
pool,
a wave pool, because the
the
unique
wave,
part about it.
right, the wave pool could be cut down to be smaller than we have it. This splashdown area could come out, we could go back to runouts on the slides. You'd go away from the raft part of the slide. And this did not have, that answers whoever's question from a while ago, if you left off the lap pool. That's the big difference between our last option and this option.
This is not allowed to, that's the
No,
first one,
this was that option. There was no standing still water.
like for swimming lessons.
Right. It was all wave
Yeah,
pool.
I think that's important.
I agree, the swim lessons are very important. Aerobics,
Absolutely.
yeah,
You couldn't just have a wave pool.
right, yeah.
A lot of kids don't want to get in a wave pool all the time.
Right.
Does that thing work right on timers while you're not, the way, I mean, to just constantly move water, does it, or does it?
If I remember correctly, one indicator is on the timer, it'll cut off every now
Yeah.
and then, and it just sits for a while.
Only one I've ever been to, like it'll do waves for 30 minutes and then it like takes a break and then comes back on in a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that was originally a limitation of the equipment. It could only run for so long before it would need a break. But the equipment's significantly better now, I'm not sure. I'm sure they
How
can.
deep is a wave pool?
This one we weren't talking being more than 4.5 feet.
One indicator's a lot deeper than
It is.
So we,
Yeah, oh, it's, yeah, the one indicator gets way
18
deep.
foot deep, that deep.
But it has to be to generate the waves that it,
That's a lot
Wait.
bigger.
the way that it generates waves. That, you know, Decatur was the first wave pool in the United States. They were making it up as they went.
So this would
That they
be,
stole some technology from Germany.
but this type wave pool uses different,
Use different technology, yeah.
doesn't take as much.
Doesn't take near as, you know, the one, the Decatur, there are very specific dimensions that it has to be, you know, the width and the length have to be a certain ratio, and it has to be, you know, for the waves to generate right, things have to be, the math has to be just right. But with the new technology of wave generations, that's what we're able to do around a curve and shallower water, because,
And that'd be square.
yeah, that would be squaring more because of the symmetry.
What do you think, Erdeman, on something like this? What are you gonna charge to get in?
Which one?
The smaller one?
The smaller one, you know, 750. Probably.
What'd you say would be admissions for this one?
That'd be at least 10.
What about season passes and this kind of things?
We had season pass, I think you had season pass that figured at $100 a person, $100 for one and $50 for each additional single members, is that right? So it was 100 and, yeah, it was 3 more, 250 for family.
This might be 75. If you charge 750. If the season pass is 100 on the other 10, the season pass of this could be a lot less.
Could be. You don't wanna get them,
No, you
you don't
don't.
wanna get too cheap,
No.
because you start
Just
getting
about
big.
any facility or anything you go to nowadays, in my humble opinion, it's $10 or more.
You, and again, that would be a thorn in your side, if you're charging 10 and they're charging 10 and they
Well,
got
that's
laid you in
true.
for 3 slides,
Right.
you know.
What did they charge last year?
When they first started.
Last year was 8, I think.
Seven,
I think 7 or 8. They're talking about going to 12 next summer. Because they're staying.
Maybe they'll price themselves out.
But see, what's going to justify somebody coming to this pool at $7.50 and Fayette at $10? When Fayette does have, I mean, I think this is too small for us. This is too big and this is too small. I wish we could find something new. Cause, I mean, I wouldn't see any sense in paying $7.50 just to go, like, or just to pay a lesser expense. I wouldn't not go play it.
It's not worth $250,
Right,
or it's worth $250 to get a river and
yes.
2 more slides.
How much does Dewey charge?
We get 7.
Seven.
And you know, just that, and that's what you're looking at there.
What
That
you
smaller
looking at
option
here,
is
about 200 or 300 a day? I
probably
think you could do that.
150.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think you can do 200 or 300?
Could.
I don't think.
I wouldn't want to be there if there was 200 or 300 people there.
I don't think you'd get 100.
Well, you know, when
What
we,
is you know what you and averages a day?
at one time it was 75 or 80, but that was,
What you gonna get right there.
that was,
I think you can do more.
that was after the Fed opened, so I don't know what they were averaging before that.
I'm like Ryan, I think we need something kind of in between the two of them.
Mhm.
Now, what'd you say the cost of this was,
75.
1.75?
Because if you're talking the difference, somewhere between 2 and 5, half of that would be
3.5.
3.5, which is awfully close to option 2. Yeah,
Tell us about option 2. Then, push it down here just a
option
minute.
2 was the one that had the wraparound
It's okay.
lazy river, or a wraparound wave river,
Oh, that's right. Okay.
wrapped all the way around.
This was more like Stillwater here.
Yeah, that was all.
No,
that
it
was
went
all
from
way-
here to here.
all the
didn't
way
it?
around.
Yeah, and this was the tot area, and this was the
The
slides.
slides came down into runouts.
But we don't have
Don't
here,
come into water.
we don't have the lanes.
Get on.
Okay, with
There are
with
no
that,
lanes.
with that design right there,
3.8, here, no, go ahead.
with this design, could you not move the slides around over here and still have this where you can go into the wave pool? From like a raft slide?
Yes.
So
you
we could still have that feature, which you
Yes.
said is something that would be,
could. Very,
unique.
very unique, yes.
okay.
But now one of the things that adds to cost from here to here
Mhm.
is that going from 2 body slides to 1 body slide and a raft slide, the difference from a body slide to a raft slide is a couple $100,000. You know, so
Right.
you're adding $250,000
Mhm.
to go to this.
Well,
And that's what happens when we go from here to here is, you know, we had a quarter here and a half there and,
Right, and it's
you
just,
know, and then we're $5 million.
but there are no loud lines, I
There are
mean,
no light lanes in that. That's correct.
in this.
There's
That
no,
one's still projected to lose $20,000-$30,000 a year, wasn't it?
yeah, that was part of the problem with that one is that it wasn't, one of the things that bumped the numbers up was the raft slide. And the unique, so that brings in more attendance.
Mhm.
And we also added the extra body of water, the extra light lanes over there. It's all a crazy balancing act. But enough to bring in enough people to make enough money versus, you know, but then the cost, you know, so. What's that?
On that
On option
option
2, there's no water in the tot area.
That's true. The cost of the difference in
I
the
mean,
cost
that's-
of
Yeah.
no water is pretty minimal. That's not one of the big cost items. We can certainly add that. without too much difference in cost. You're still
What is
recirculating.
this, just a splash pad?
That's just more of a splash pad, yeah.
Water runoff?
Water would run off, water would run to central drains and be recycled back through. Only difference is this has a little bit more of a lip on it, so you can hold more water in there as a result. Your pumps are the same, your drains are the same, it's just,
Do you think the
It's a
slides
whole lot
out
of
there
rock.
like, a lazy river, are they out used more favorable than,
Is the slide what brings people?
is this what brings more people than, lazy river or?
well, your slides are a wow impact.
Mhm.
Somebody drives
Yeah,
up
it
and
would
they
be
see
to
the
me.
slides, they go, wow.
Mhm.
You know, that's generally the
That's
first,
true.
that's generally the first reaction I hear from people over at Fayette. Wow, this is in Fayette. And they're just looking at the slides.
Right.
They hadn't seen anything else yet. They're just seeing the slides.
And they may not use
But
it.
now the other day, when I was there, I counted more people in the river than were standing in line for the slide.
My experience
Well-
there is the slides are, the lazy river is the one that's used. The slides are almost an afterthought.
But keep in mind that the Lazy River is new this year.
Sure.
That's true.
The slide, everybody, people who came last year, they went down the slide. They
Right.
didn't get to go in the Lazy River. So it's new this year, so.
Yeah, that's important to remember those are your 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. It's also a different demographic that you're going at. The river is generally, not right now because it's new, but generally the river is more your parents with little kids or grandparents or, people just chilling, kind of not really looking for the excitement, whereas the slides are your teenage group. That's notoriously difficult to draw to, anything like that. So but now, right now, because it's new, you go up there and there's teenagers all in the Lazy River. Because it's new.
Or do you have some questions about the attendance?
No, that's well. This one drops significantly lower from the projected one from last one. This is projected at 36. That still seems a little on the upper end. In my opinion. What'd you say, Fed? Had last summer total?
Total?
Total.
I don't know. They told
So
me
they
the average
average.
350.
350 and 700 on Saturday.
I think they base their numbers for paying back Lazy River on 350, 300 to 350.
Now, these attendance numbers that he's got in here, that's not just people paying to get in during the day. Is that also the rentals at night? Does that have anything to do with that?
No, I believe that's people walking through the gate. But that also includes season pass holders and,
Right.
the number's modified for season pass holders and those type of things.
So there's not a thing in here for the revenue, there's nothing in here about the rentals.
There are some rental numbers. If you look under, it's with the swimming lessons.
Okay.
If you look, preferred content somewhere here. Preferred content.
Birthday party too.
You got daily admissions, season pass, there it is, projected user group revenue. We've got lifeguard training and wellness programming and birthday party and private rental. And
What was
those,
the private room? What did,
he had just $2,500 projected.
okay.
But that's, again, like you explained, that's net profit out of a private rental. You would get more out of a birthday rental during the day because your lifeguards are already there, they're already
Sure.
working.
Yeah, that would be
A
extra.
private
extra.
rental, they're working over, you've got to staff the whole park for however many people come to the private rental. But I do know at $350 a 2-hour party, they rent out every single party they could do. So, you know.
Someone's got some money somewhere.
Well, what I've seen happen, what I know happens from burning is you get 2 or 3 families together
Mm-hmm, right.
and you go, and then it's only a little over $100.
Mm-hmm,
That's a pretty good deal
yeah, it is.
for 2 hours of
Mhm.
just you and 2 other families. And of course, all the friends you can pack into a car. But you know, I mean, you can see from the original 3 concepts that we did, you know, we couldn't, in those first original 3 concepts, we never could really find that good tipping point where it crossed over into being able to cover its revenue costs until we got up to
This.
this. You know, that's kind of when we hit the spot where it tipped in your favor. Now it does, you know, if you recall, option one did, and option one was, $3 million. Had 2,800 square foot wave pool. You know, it had some standing, it had some still water. Had 1,400 square feet of standing water. It kind of had a small tot area. It didn't have a very big tot area, play area in it.
Compared to this one?
Compared to,
this one?
yeah. But no, it did have a, if I recall, it did have a favorable number. Option one. Yeah, option one had 32,000 people within them every year. And,
I think it's gonna be one of your big draws.
coming out with that $8,000.
What if we double the tot area like on that option you got in, I don't, that couldn't be that much more money, could it?
I wondered about that too.
It's not the, what gets you on those is not the area, it's the structure. Those structures, you know, they're pretty reasonable, and then they start growing exponentially. But yeah, I mean, it certainly could take option one and expand the tot area. Maybe take out this, there's a vortex current, I think is what we call it, that little thing there. I mean, you've already got moving water in the wave pool, so you can take out.
Change all that into.
Yeah, you could take that and add that into more of a tot play area. And maybe add, you know, there may be a way to add features, spray pad type features that aren't necessarily a big structure, that would still allow room for them to go around without adding a significant cost. You have up there's, you know, that I think was the smallest wave pool. Is that right? The smallest wave pool, that had 1 slide.
Now, there's no reduced pricing based on any kind of, everybody pays the same, right?
Councilman Hunsaker in their study recommends that you do some reduced pricing, but I don't know anybody in North Alabama that does.
I thought he mentioned that, but I didn't think Fayette or nobody else did.
Yeah, no, I've talked with Coleman and Hartsville and Decatur, and now Decatur does have a half price
Monday
day,
through Thursday.
Monday through Thursday. They have half price days, but that's just to get the crowd there.
Let me see that just a second.
Even on their half price days, they're still $15 first.
Yeah, it's
Just
pretty,
$15
yeah,
worth.
it's,
Even on the half
Yeah.
price days, $15.
on the weekends, it's like $30 a head. But they do the half price days to get enough people there to keep their staff working all week. They were running into problems in Decatur. Their staff just standing around twiddling their thumbs. But you know, there may be some things we could do in option one that would modify it, that would probably fall into the $3 to $3.5 million range. But we're not gonna get lap lanes out of it. We probably get,
Oh, I see that.
we probably get enough space to do some swimming type lessons, but you're not gonna get full-blown lap swimming. Which, if you don't own, is not a problem. Put something here at the end. You know, but my only concern with that is it's 2,800 square feet of wave pool is not a whole lot of pool. You know, it's,
How many people per square foot, you say?
15 square foot per person.
Per person?
2,800,
15 square.
15 per person.
Four. You said 16 square.
You know, 180 people, that's packed out. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
But that's the whole pool?
Shorter to shorter.
Well,
yeah.
Nobody's gonna wanna be in that first
You-
No,
you're-
I know.
No, you're
foot of
going, I
water,
mean,
nobody's gonna
yeah.
be there. so-
yeah, that last, yeah, well, the little kids will be there, feet. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I mean, that, realistically, 150 people, and it would be, you'd be bumping into somebody. Every time you went up and down, you'd be bumping into somebody beside you. You know, and that's the concern we had with option one, is that if it is a wave pool, if you are gonna be drawing people, you don't want them to be miserable and not come back. It's all, I mean, there's all kind of, you know, 6 of one and half a dozen of another. You go one way or the other, both, all the ways around.
Does a curved wave pool cost more than a straight? I know you said that with the
No,
technology
yeah,
we have.
not now, no. No.
So it's just virtually the same.
virtually the same. You know, the way they construct pools now, it's basically any shape you want to do it.
But you wouldn't wanna need, or you wouldn't need any more equipment to do a curved wave pool,
No, you're not,
no special kind.
no special.
That'd be neat.
How big the pool we got now?
Pardon?
How big the pool we got now? Pool covered it. You know, how many people would fit in that thing?
Well, I remember.
Have any idea how big it was?
How many
Say
lanes did it
packed.
have in it? Have 8 lanes?
Probably.
How many?
Did it have 8
I
lanes?
can't remember. Carl.
Is it a 25 or a 50-yard pool?
It's probably
Yeah, probably 50.
close to 50.
I would think.
Of course, you know, it's the shallow ends under the building, it's freezing.
Yeah. Lanes would be,
At least 50.
about 8 feet, so it'd be about 65 feet.
It don't matter how big it
Yeah,
is.
it's pretty close to that.
That'd be 9750 square feet. 650 people if you packed them in. If it's a
But
50-yard
all
pool.
right, I wouldn't be any
I don't know,
trouble
if it's
setting.
50.
Probably is.
It's, yeah, maybe it is.
150 feet, one end to the other.
Pretty long.
You've been in it. Used to live in it, didn't you? I know you did.
Some, yeah, we did some.
Well, what we want and what we can do
Yeah.
is the dilemma.
So this pool here is about 120.
Does it?
You don't think you'd bring a 100 people a day.
Might for a while.
I think you would do 100, 150.
See, why I wouldn't do a lot more than that, I mean, maybe I'm
I
just.
think you do, if you do 150.
Now, did you say that
It's
this,
got a
Got a nice line.
water slide with it.
did you say this is included? This, some kind of
No,
a,
there would be a bathhouse.
there would be a bathhouse included with that 1.3? Okay, then, but to have parties and things, you'd have to have some other
Yes,
facility.
you need some sort of pavilion.
Pavilion.
Or something that you could
How long
do.
is this?
And what's,
Is the.
25 yards.
The slide that you put in this, does it look like that? Is that what it's gonna be?
This one?
That's the one that's there.
Yeah, but I mean, is that the one in the price?
That's the one that's in the budget.
That's smaller than you.
Yeah,
It's
smaller
not-
red
It'd be a
base.
little bit
That
shorter.
impressive.
It's probably on line of red base.
Smaller red base.
What if you built a lot taller, more impressive slide
Mhm.
with this concept? I mean, you don't have to have much water to come out into it.
Yeah, you wouldn't change the amount of water you have to have.
You just build a bigger, more expensive slide. What would that run, $250,000 for, 100,000?
Probably, you could easily spend $250,000
If you
easily.
spent $2 million to upgrade some of this and keep the same amount
Mhm.
of water space, would that not work? Make
Could do
this a
that.
little more upgraded?
Could do that. Certainly. Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, this is not much challenge for anybody to
Yeah,
do
that's
this one.
It's a slide.
and how high, and
I'll also do one of the biggest mistakes. A few times anyway.
I mean, that, you
Is there
know,
a splash pad here? This is,
no,
this
that's
is
a
a key part though.
key. It's shallow water.
This is shallow.
Zero.
This has got like little kid slides and
There'll be a little kids.
dumping stuff
Yeah.
and stuff. on top of it.
I personally don't think that we should even worry about a splash pad, because our church rented Ewan's Water Park this past weekend. Well, we do that every year after Vacation Bible School. And I saw one kid go through the splash pad one time, and that was it.
really,
Busy now with the slide.
I mean, really, it was the pool. There were more kids in the pool than there were on the slide.
I agree. Most of the pool, I didn't see that many on the slide, did you?
I think that's fairly consistent with what I've seen, is the splash pad, you have a little dangling unit, but most are the pool.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just a low-cost alternative, I think, that most people think they get away with. I just don't think we should.
I think I saw a splash pad in Pigeon Forge and they had this duck to kids, man, and water dumping on top of them, they was standing under the mushrooms. I mean, I don't know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I hadn't seen one, Brian, cause I ain't.
Well, now, you think Ewan's splash pad is some water shooting out of the ground and like one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an impressive
No,
splash pad.
they got two features
Yeah.
that spray water and some water that comes out of the
There's
ground.
not a lot of big.
It's not a structure of any kind.
see, and there again, you all took kids down there and gave them your money.
And it was night, it was at night.
And that- some pla- I mean, some
During the
places
day,
do, but
part of
nothing
it might have been, I hadn't thought
They
about that.
capitalizing on something bad.
Yeah.
I think a splash pad would be popular, but it'd have to have more than one or two things shooting out.
You have to, now, yeah, if you have a structure that dumps water and has little kid slides,
Buckets that fill up.
buckets that fill up and dump, and little kids, at least one little kid slide, then,
You know, I'm with him there.
yeah. Cause if you're gonna put a big slide,
Size of you,
you need some
Pardon?
alternative for the smaller kids who can't go down.
it's not fair. A little bit higher than that one probably. Similar to it.
Yeah, that slide they're showing their pictures probably similar to what Red Bay has. Maybe a little shorter.
They think it's shorter.
12 foot tall there, probably.
It's not very tall.
No, but this one, this is what, similar to this, right?
I believe those pictures are what they actually built.
Yeah.
When were these pictures taken?
Not certain.
There's just not a whole lot of people there in the pictures.
I noticed that too, but, maybe they purposely planned it that
Well,
way.
you-
They may have
they-
made it purposely.
They generally
Yeah.
try to take the pictures when there's not a lot of people,
Right.
because they're trying to show off the
The pool,
pool,
not
not the
people.
people.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they're trying to show off the pool and the amenities and,
Mhm.
yeah. Now, if the city was taking a picture, there'll come 100 kids in there if they took the picture. Go grab some kids off the street though.
Yeah.
I do like a media day I witnessed this year where they put a kid in a raft and pushed, the pumps weren't running yet, so they pushed the raft to the lazy river and videoed him going by.
Really?
That was their media day. Pumps weren't running yet. I got in trouble for that. It wasn't false advertising, the water does move.
Just not yet.
Just didn't at that particular moment in time. But it moves now. So, it really, in our meetings, again, it was something different, something better,
I know. So
and,
we all,
and that comes with a price tag.
I mean, if we're gonna scrap everything, why didn't we start this to start with?
Yeah, well, I mean, you wanna do something. Even from the folks who are negative that I've heard from, they all say we need to do something. The question just becomes, what is that? This study was based on what we heard in the meetings and what we got feedback from the folks we talked to, and this is the conclusion we came to for what would work for Hamilton. Doesn't mean you have to do it, but it means it would work if you did.
We'll have a chance of getting numbers wrong on that.
Which one?
The
On the number.
Columbia, South Carolina.
Probable cost.
Yeah.
Well, I got the probable cost on like the operation expenses and that, 'cause I can talk to him and said, he may want to charge us a few extra dollars. He thinks he's done.
Well, let's do a little better slide.
Okay.
yeah.
So we're thinking
Yeah.
a little better slide, a little better play thing for the little kids. And I think we can save a few dollars by moving that splash area into the end of the lap pool down there. And the slide just wouldn't run when you had lap swim or swimming lessons, you just turn the slides on. That would save us a little bit of square foot of water. So is that the consensus, is that the option we want to run with?
I'm not for that, so
What, Lynn?
I'm not for that.
For which one?
This one?
Liz.
I'm not a fan of it either. I mean, to me, it looks small and just claustrophobic. I honestly just wouldn't go with it. It's just, I don't know, it just looks cramped. I would think if you got more than 100 people in there,
What do
it
you?
would just be
Well,
uncomfortable.
Listen, we've got this stuff right here close by, and we've still got people in town going to Decatur and Lawrenceville and Fayette and all these other places for this other stuff. You're not gonna bring anybody into town for that.
Winfield First Baptist took a group last week, Lawrenceville.
I mean, if all you're looking for is to just give people around here a swimming pool, that's fine. But I don't think, people's got pools, they're not gonna come out for just that. They're not gonna come pay $7 when they got a pool. They want something to do. You need something to get a draw.
I think with everything that we've talked about, you know, what the city thinks that we need, you know, big enough to draw people, you know, we need this. But from everything that I've, you know, heard is just the price tag. You know, nobody wants to pay that. Is there not something we could do to help raise money for that instead of borrowing the whole amount? I know anybody, you know, if it's, if you say, let's do this and we don't have to pay for it, everybody's gonna, you know, of course agree to it. But if it wasn't so much, I mean, that's my only reservation.
I think that's the only issue, is the
Right.
money. With
But
it.
I think we all agree, this is what we'd like to have, this is what we think the city needs, it's the right size, it's got everything we think that could, you know, withstand for a few years and be big enough to draw a large enough crowd, but it's just the price. So is there not, to kind of twist it and, on our thought process, is there not something we could do to help raise money for?
You have a rich uncle that might.
Hey, we might
No.
tell somebody, we'll paint your name on the side of the slide if you'll purchase it. Just,
Sponsor this.
yeah.
Sponsor the slide.
All that kind of cheapness.
Hang sponsor signs all around the fence.
There was somebody put on Facebook today, it's in Illinois. Their rec department raised $2.5 million to match a grant from the state.
Wow.
And then they were in the process of raising another $900,000 for the amenities. And had $550,000 of that, and they were
What were
raising
they doing to do that?
it was a whole short story, and it didn't say anything about how they raised the money, but they had
Did you
done.
tell them where it was? Like, other than just in the state of
Yeah,
Illinois?
what was that city? It's where Southern Illinois is at, I think.
Call them up, see
27,000.
what they did.
But Kurt, are you saying that are there grants, I mean, recreation grants?
The only recreation grants are the LWCF funds, and it's $25,000 with a $25,000 match. And that's on this type of facility, that's, you know,
That wouldn't buy a chemical.
Peanuts.
that might get you.
Might buy a few umbrellas.
Might buy a window. Then you have to put a big LWCF
Kurt,
pipe on it.
is this cost include things like this all around? I mean, you could spend $50,000 on.
It would include the
Chairs and
umbrellas,
umbrellas.
yeah, it would include the umbrellas and some chairs.
What about the cement and all this around it? That's included in the price,
Have you
okay.
found the estimates on any of these that you've done or others have done, been pretty close to what it actually cost, without any overruns and?
Yeah, the numbers from Councilman Hunsaker are usually a little high, but not a lot.
So it's-
Not a lot enough for me to say, yeah, we'll do it for less than that. I mean,
But you don't think it'd be more?
No, I don't, just, they tend to, if we hired Councilman Hunsaker to design it, one, they would charge us a lot of money. And they would also design a Mercedes-Benz of a system to run the thing. And the folks that we use are a little more practical than that. And understand that you can get very nice equipment without having to pay brand name prices for it. So,
I'm like Lynn, I mean, we want something that's gonna draw people to town, where they're gonna go eat, and buy gas and stuff like that. And, you know, I don't think that's the answer to that. Like we've got those, I mean, of course, I know it's a money issue, but it's just my personal opinion. We need, you know, we want people driving 50 miles to come here, you know, to do this.
Yeah, well, you know, what was the number, 47,000 visits a year?
Mhm.
Yeah. 47,000 visits a year, that's a lot of people,
You're talking about for the big,
for the big one.
yeah, right, yeah, it was 47,000.
That's a lot of people, a payroll of $300,000, you know, for staff and lifeguards, that's a lot of stuff happening, you know, as far as money going back in the community, lots of people coming and yeah, I agree that, you know, that's a huge number of people coming, but it's also a huge, I mean, we have the study, we have the numbers, I trust the numbers, but there's not a, you know, there's not a FDIC backing on the thing that says you're gonna make that much money. It's a risk. Now, looking at the risk the other town took and the path that it's had,
I was
makes it a
told-
little less of a risk.
Right.
Makes you feel a little better about the risk.
I was told that Sonic's increased it, what was it, $30,000 that first summer that it was open. They made $30,000 more than they did the summer
Really?
before.
In fact,
Subway did a fantastic amount of that too.
I would
And that's what
imagine-
this is all about.
I would imagine if you could ask that KFC Taco Bell right there on the corner of the park. I imagine.
oh, same thing, I'm sure.
Right, I mean, they right there at the entrance to the park.
Well, Dennis, of course, he just works part-time now at Sonic, but he come out of the morning, he said, when we gonna get our water park? He said, that increased Fed's business $30,000.
Wow.
You know, the first year it was
Just
there.
in one, just
Yeah.
in one time. Wow.
Of course, he's just picking at me, you know, but he was,
So
but he was,
got
I mean,
it
but he-
home.
you know, but he was
Yeah.
serious. I mean,
Sure, I mean, that's, you know, you know, that many visits.
I'd like to, I'd like to see if Fayette's, how much sales tax increased those 3 months. You have any idea?
They did look at that and.
Cause that's where you see
They
outside of the,
They did not see a significant change in the sales tax.
really,
Yeah.
even though the restaurants did more business.
I was shocked by that.
It surprises me.
But it could have been one of many things, one of being which if it hadn't been there, it might have gone down. And this kept it from doing that.
What are the
They just
concession,
held it.
what are their concession numbers? Do they have that?
Yeah, that's,
I know they make a profit, I don't know what their,
That's
their
one reason
numbers were.
they didn't go
Concessions
out, 'cause
out
they
there
need-
is, not enough food, run out of food too quick.
Mhm.
Bet,
Yes.
heard that.
Hour wait for a pizza and stuff like that, so
Well,
if we
so
do
many-
anything that.
So many people,
Yeah,
I mean,
I think,
you know.
I think you'd have to have a food bar that's well equipped and able to handle big crowds,
Yeah.
hundreds of people.
well, when you
Like a
just,
restaurant almost.
when you
Not
design,
quite that elaborate, but something that can handle.
you know,
You might need somebody to
Somebody out
contract
waiting
that
45
out.
minutes for.
you know, we designed the thing to run 350 people a day through there, and if they're running 500,
Yeah,
they're overrunning. You know, so, you know, and that was their big reason for adding the river this year, is that we planned for 250, 275, and they were running 350, and we didn't have anywhere to put those other 75 people.
and we've had a pretty mild summer too, really, so far.
This summer, oh yeah,
That's
it's been a very mild summer. And last summer was a very wet summer, if you remember. And we hadn't had a good, hot, dry summer yet, since they've been open, so. You know, but I think a lot of that, you know, I think their numbers are high because it's so new. I think they'll settle back down.
That's what I'm wondering.
They'll settle
It's
back
not
down.
the
Get
first
back
2 or
down.
3 years,
Yeah.
it's year 5, 6, 7, 8.
Right. I think they'll
It's
settle
gonna
back.
be popular
You
for
know.
a few years, for sure, there's no question it will be.
They've exceeded the numbers that were in their study. I think after
Yeah,
3 or 4
that was
years,
the-
it's gonna come back to
To those numbers.
To those numbers. You know, I think that's what it'll settle back down to,
I do too.
those real world numbers. I think right now they're getting inflated numbers.
Which will still be enough to pay.
Sure, yeah.
operate.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of theirs too, you've got to give it to them, they run a pretty solid operation over there. I mean, they keep it nice, they keep it clean, they throw people out in a second.
That's
You know,
good.
if they're being rude or ugly or running off at the mouth, they'll throw them out, they don't have a problem with it. And families like to come and come back to that type of facility, and I like to carry my family to that type of facility. You know, I don't wanna go somewhere where somebody we foul mouth and carry them, I don't want my kids around that. So the way they operate the facility has a lot to do, as much as I'd like to, you know, say it's all design. Pull it out. You have to laugh
That
twice.
was
as
quite
hard.
funny, wasn't it?
He's listening.
I was impressed with doing last night because it looked like they were gonna throw me out. But I was, seriously, because I was in street clothes, I wasn't gonna swim, but I went in and the lifeguard made a beeline for me. He says, well, what can I do for you, sir? He's polite. And I explained I was with the journal records, gave him the, you know, and he said, okay, that's okay, but he was watching out for the kids. Now, that impressed me. I want to tell Phil Seacrest I see him, that impressed me.
He wouldn't let you just hang out with the kids.
No, yeah, he was watching out. I was impressed with
They're
him.
not good predators.
So, you know, that, no matter how much you spend or whatever you build, that's something to keep in mind.
Absolutely, yeah,
You know.
security.
Run a nice facility. So, what,
What do we not want?
what,
We know what we want. What do we not want?
what do we not want? What are we willing to live without?
If we give you some numbers in the next few days that you can work with, then you can upgrade this or downgrade that or whatever.
Yeah.
We figure out how much we're willing to put into it.
Yeah, that's
That would help
basically,
you more than anything.
yeah, that's really what we need to know is what is the budget? You know, we've come up with what we got everything we wanted, this is what we're calling.
Okay.
Now, you know, give us a budget and let us
Work to that.
try to work to that best we can. And in working to a budget, what are the most important from this group? What are the most important things to keep or lose? Right, that's it.
In this one, I feel like you could lose this huge lap
The
pool
lap pool.
That's something that we could go back and add
Like,
later.
5 or 6 years down the road when we think our attendance may be beginning
what
to
was
slouch
the,
a little bit, we could,
that's right, what was the, can you give a guesstimation of the expense of it? What would it cut off of
The lap pool.
the original price?
No,
Just-
the lap pool is 75 feet, 25 feet.
Not more than that, you wouldn't think.
Just the lap pool part, I don't know how to, probably guesstimate, but probably 300, 350. But the climbing wall will be another 50, so it'll be 400.
That's what you have me.
So, get my notes going.
This building here seems awful high to me, $600,000.
Yeah,
Is that,
I
That
thought,
is a lot.
I thought we could do,
I mean, that's quite a bit.
I thought we could do it for less last time around, but I found out we couldn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you think that's a pretty good number?
Was it 600?
Yeah.
Is it
how many square feet is this?
It-
4,000.
Electrical has a lot to do with it. I mean, you're talking about, for those pumps in there, you're talking about
Oh, that's.
three-phase power. This is the Wakefield. There's the filtration.
So the
pumps will be in
pumps
there.
are included in the price of this
Filtration pumps.
building? Is that what
Well,
you're saying?
the pumps are included with the pool, the wiring of the pumps is included with the building. And you're talking about three-phase power and, you know, some of them have variable frequency drives on them and the startup and shut down on those are, that's, you know.
And all the bathroom
I mean, we had to change out one box and it was $50,000 for one startup box that they sent the wrong size. I mean, that, you know.
So
No,
that's
they've got
one
college, you got
side.
masters.
It's not the building.
No, I mean, it's a block building. It's not a And it's a block building because you don't want people to tear it up,
Right.
or tear up a block building. And that's not impossible. What's- get
My
what-
mom owns a daycare, I said kids at the daycare could do it.
Like a terrible block building. I got a little girl.
I can make it look.
I got a little girl that's 7 that could tear up a steel ball bearing, but,
I don't.
yeah, she could. There's a whole cabinet full of toys that I still haven't fixed.
Now, I know it might not be as durable or attractive, but maybe it'll be as durable, I don't know. The elementary school gym is a metal building with a brick front fascia. What, would that help reduce cost at all, or would that just,
What was this building?
That's the block building.
It was all just block, okay.
It would
You said that.
help reduce the cost, and normally I'd be all for building a steel building, but not with all those chemicals and all that water. Chlorine will eat that steel, you know, like it's
Right.
nothing.
I don't think that.
So the block and, I mean, old school construction block with wood trusses, you don't even use metal trusses. So, you have to do things like run the ductwork in the program has to be aluminum. Because it can't be galvanized. So, yeah, I love a steel building. I've done steel buildings all over the place, and I love them.
so what all is included in this? Like, I know you said it's, like, what all is in this building? Bathrooms, concession stand?
Bathrooms, concession stand, pumps.
Party room?
I don't think we had party room. We had a manager office. We had a family changing room in addition to the regular bathrooms.
So we'd have to build an extra place,
Concessions.
facility for parties.
An add-on.
But that can be something as simple as a open air pavilion.
Yeah.
Tent or something, you maybe?
Yeah,
Or the
it doesn't
tent?
have to be, it doesn't have to be indoor. Now, if you go to Hartsel, they have a full-blown party room that has a window, and a kitchen, and it's air conditioned, and a big huge screen TV in it, and I mean, it's a woo-hoo.
Hey, woo-hoo, we're talking about, we can't get with this.
So,
Come on.
but-
Oh, woo-hoo.
But,
Wrong way on this money.
but I mean, something as simple as an extra pavilion that you just set aside and say, this is for private rentals,
If you did something like
with a
this,
couple of picnic tables.
upgraded this right here, is there anything you can add around this that would be year-round?
Yeah, that's one
You
thing.
know, something that after the summer's over and this fall, you want to play beach volleyball, horseshoes, any kind of outdoor activities in this area that would go along with this. I mean, it might not bring any as far as paying to do something.
Right.
Just something that would be,
Well,
you know, in addition to that.
my landscape architects in Birmingham are working on a park in Pinson that's a splash pad.
That's all?
It's not a full-blown pool, but it's a splash pad and an amphitheater and a playground. And they're working, actually they used some of my design from the original building, to do their building, and they're designing a building with gates on both sides. So that you can close the gate on the pool side, and now it's the restrooms and the concession stand for the splash pad, which stays open longer. But then you close that, and you close the splash pad side, and now it's the concessions and the bathrooms for the amphitheater. So that you get dual use out, you get full year, you get full year use out of the building, without, and that, I liked that idea.
Well, I
I thought
like
that was a
that.
really neat idea.
Yeah, I like that.
A way to take advantage of that building rather than just
Something
shutting it
Year
down.
round.
just seasonal. This would be access to concessions
Yeah,
for other
right.
things
Well,
besides
if you
just
build
this.
soccer fields and t-ball fields over there, that you want to use those, be able to use those.
Yeah.
for
That's
that,
true.
If you've got them on that side.
So that makes it, makes a nice dual use for the building.
Well, I mean,
And then, of course,
Multi-year
around,
phase plan to do all that, have this and then have
and like I say,
year 2, 3, or 4, just add some.
your horseshoes and those kind of things,
That don't cost nothing.
those are very easy to add, don't take a lot of space, and you can work those around that building to make, again, use of that you know, even playground area can make use of that same building for restrooms. It's just a matter of configuring your building the right way when you start. You'd end up like 2 concession windows. Right. Inside, outside. So-
We've got everything we need, the engineer, we've got land, we've got ideals, we've got plans. The only thing we lack is money, you know, it's
We
pretty
can get
simple,
that.
just money.
Just money.
Yeah, just
We
money.
can get that too.
We can get that too, you know. And suffer the consequences.
Well, there is something to be said, of course, you know how I felt about it. There is something on the other side to be said about courage of convictions. Then we probably tell you that this is something a lot of people still want, and whether you get feedback or not that's negative, if you see it as the right thing to do, you know. So there is another side to that.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, I can
Is
tell you,
there-
yeah, I can tell you, last time I did this, the prediction was that every single one of them was gonna lose their spot and job, and only one did.
One did. And then they came back and regretted not being part, didn't they?
And as far as successfulness, I can tell you that Art Linkletter kicked himself for the rest of his life because Walt Disney asked him to invest in a little orange grove called Disneyland, and he wouldn't give a dime. So
It was foolishness.
sometimes you never know.
So, before we leave, I do need some direction when we start adding to and or cutting down. If we're adding to, we want bigger slides, bigger play areas. Lose the lap pool if we need to, the wave pool. Is that a yes, we definitely need that, no matter what size it is, or if we can get it big enough, we'd like to have it.
I think that'll be part of the draw.
But only keep the wave pool if we can get it big enough to not be crowded with
We got an option 2,800 square feet, and then so our final option was 6,800.
Sure, there's a smaller version somewhere, but I think 28 is too small.
Something in between.
What about the kids' play area being separate and or part of the pool, or is that a concern anywhere? We just want to make sure we got enough room for the little kids, or throw the little kids out?
I think
No,
that's one of the, from people that I've heard that's been to Fayette, one of their main complaints is
Not big
there's
enough.
not enough space for the little kids.
Yeah, the thought there was that they would use the splash pad and that thing, but they don't. They all congregate on that one play structure until they tell them to get out of the water for their bathroom break. And then
Is that something every pool does? They make them get out every hour or
yeah.
15 minutes every hour?
Back when we had dinosaurs that we rode to the pool, and I lifeguarded, we made them get out once. During, of course, we were open 4 hours, but they got out once right in the middle. And it's just to clear the water and make sure there's.
Make sure they go
Yeah,
by there.
Make sure the water's clear.
Make sure the water's clear. You know, and also check for people.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that. So, you know, and they've changed their policy this year. They go once an hour, I think, for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's part of their rotation of the guards. But everybody does it in some manners. Some people go 2-3 hours, some people go. But there's usually at least one break at every pool I've ever been to.